Previously on Movie Mayhem Live.
Start with the birthday boy.
Start with the birthday boy. All right, Jeff. Well, first of all, let's figure out why Jeff has no audio. Oh, give me a second here. That's what happens when you come in late, Jeff. Jeff can't see or hear us. Jeff, we've traced the Skype call. It's coming from inside your house. The killer's inside your house. At least that's the way I remember it happening. But we got a really big show for you this week. Merritt Patterson and Samuel Hunt from Unbroken, Path to Redemption sit down with our own Gino Salamone to discuss the film. Jeff Howard's going to tell us about his experience at The Nun, plus reviews of White Boy Rick and The Predator. But first, we got to travel to a little town in Beaver County, Pennsylvania, Monaca. It's Movie Mayhem Live. Hey everyone, I'm Chuck the Movie Guy, and welcome to podcast number 7. Hopefully we got all the audio worked out from last week. We have a jam-packed show, to the point where I had to delete some stuff because there was just too much stuff happening. So let's get started. Let's go to his penthouse at the MGM. Go see the Vegas film critic, Jeff Howard, with new, improved audio. Hey, Jeff, what's happening, buddy? Jeff, are you on Devo? What's going on?
Isn't this the Devo fan chat room?
No, this is Movie Mayhem Live. It's a weekly podcast where we talk about movies.
Right, my bad. I got it right now.
All right, let's get the corner bug on there. We're good. All right, from here, we got to go all the way over. Actually, we're going to go back to a little town in Pennsylvania, Bethel Park, and join up with Fury. Hey, Fury, what's happening? I think we
all good. Good to be with you guys.
Oh, good. Hey, Jeff meet Fury. Fury meet Jeff.
Hi, Jeff.
Yeah.
This way. Hi, Fury.
All right, and guess who's back? Is he back? Oh, he is back. Let's take a look at. We're gonna go to his penthouse, downtown Detroit. Detroit. Let's hope he got his audio problems working. Oh, I don't see anybody. Oh, because he's on 4. There he is. Hey, we had to reprogram you. Can you hear us? Is everything fine?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Hey, meet the crew. Say hi to everybody. Let me fix you a little bit there, Greg. We're gonna take you over here. All right, so we've got a jam-packed show today, and we're gonna start with my favorite, a little box office. Let's take a look at the weekend box office, courtesy of Box Office Mojo. The final results are in, breaking records in the Conjuring universe. The Nun takes first place with a whopping $53 million. Guess people were afraid of getting their knuckles smacked for not seeing the movie. Squeaking into second place is Peppermint, making $13.4 million. Go Jennifer! People love a good revenge story. Dropping into third place after 4 weeks is Crazy Rich Asians with $13.1 million. Sorry to see you fall. Chomping its way into fourth place is The Meg. It's amazing. Out for 5 weeks, it made $6 million. And in fifth place, Searching with $4 million. Now, what's interesting about that is the early box office came out and it was all wrong. They had estimates and they got flipped. So we got the accurate information because, well, we're a couple days late. So pretty impressive, don't you think, Jeff?
Very much. It's amazing how we're like in another golden age of horror films and thrillers. And, The Nun, I was totally surprised by those numbers. I thought it would be not that big, but unbelievable how we're just in this new age of thrillers. I love it. It's great.
Yeah. Well, horror movies, by general, they always do really well, don't they?
Not sometimes, but this has got a built-in audience, especially The Nun, because it's part of the Conjuring, trilogy, I guess you could say, because they had characters in Conjuring 2, and then not only The Nun has their own spin-off, but also the Crooked Man and some other characters. So they're really exploiting this big time, and so it's got a built-in audience. So The Nun is just phenomenal how much money it's making for such a small budget.
Now, I believe we're going to be talking about The Nun later. You're the only one that saw it, right? Fury, they didn't screen The Nun for us, did they?
No, they didn't screen it in Pittsburgh. And anytime they don't screen a movie, I'm usually suspect of it.
Yeah, very sweet.
going
And
on
Greg,
too far.
what's the deal? You didn't get a chance to see it either, did you?
Right. No, I did, because I'm not even sure if we had a screening as well. But looking forward to seeing it. But kind of like what Jeff said, I kind of figured it was going to do well, but not as well as it wound up doing.
Yeah.
They always do well in the fall. I mean, thrillers and horror films from September and October do really well. And with my case, when they screened The Nun in Vegas, they also showed it on the same night as Peppermint. So I had to make a choice which one to see. So I couldn't see The Nun in time to make the podcast, but I saw it that Friday morning. So it's really weird to see a horror film at 10 a.m., especially nuns, being Protestant, I'm not Catholic.
Right.
But we had a packed theater, and, it was a good vibe.
Yeah. Now, there's one common denominator between all of us, besides the fact that we're all really good looking. We're all members. What? Who's laughing? Fury, are you laughing there? We're all members of the broadcast film. What? Bald. Are we all bald? Well, I don't know. Let me take a close look at Fury. No, Fury's got hair. Sorry. So.
David.
I know. It's just a matter of time. So. So, trust me, it happens fast. At least I think I was bald at 12. We're all members of the Broadcast Film Critics Association, and they had a big announcement this week. The 24th Annual Critics' Choice Awards is once again on the CW, January 13th next year, 7 to 10 p.m. live. We are thrilled to serve once again as the exclusive home of the Critics' Choice Awards and to help honor some of the biggest stars in film and television, said Gay Hirsch, the Executive Vice President Development, the CW. The Critics' Choice Awards is one of the most anticipated events in Hollywood, and we're delighted to partner with the BFCA and the BTJA again this year to share the star-studded celebration with our viewers. That's pretty exciting. You got a couple weeks before the Oscars, don't you think?
Yeah, Critics' Choice, though, it just still sounds like a brand of coffee. It drives me crazy. I'm sorry. It's just, movie critics,
Critics'
choose
Choice
Critics'
with
Choice.
chicory, yes.
Yes, exactly. It sounds like that. But I'm just glad now we're back. The universe has righted itself. We're back. The award show's in January, and it's not in December. It's not crazy time. So now we can take a breather over the holidays, and then we can all meet together at the Barker Hangar.
That's right.
There you
And
go.
Back in the hangar.
I think the big exciting news is we're back on the CW Broadcast Network. Very exciting.
No more VH1. Yes,
Yeah.
no more VH1.
Yeah.
Well, nothing wrong with VH1, but what I liked best, the first time we were on the CW, they brought all the CW stars from TV to there, and I remember running into Jared Padalecki and Jared Henson from Supernatural, and I was just like geeking out big time. I love the CW. I watch all the shows. I'm really looking forward to that. So.
Yeah, I was told you the last BFCA awards show, I was more excited meeting all the TV stars that were there. Because
Right.
we see the movie stars all the time, but I was going crazy with like, oh my gosh, there's Better Call Saul. There's like all my favorite TV shows. They were all there, and a lot of them were just hanging out. The movie stars were being, assaulted by everybody, with photos
Right.
and time. But the TV people, I was hanging out with the guys from Atlanta. They were just sitting, they were just sitting in the corner, and it was just fantastic, and they were just so cool. I can't wait.
Yeah,
Well, it's good to be
coming
on
up.
CW too, because then you get both audiences. You're not restricted to just the cable system, that would have you on. You get not only the cable system but the broadcast network as well. I think that's good for the BFCA.
Oh yeah, I think it's huge. I think this is absolutely huge.
Right.
And it's really cool that Greg makes a little extra money parking cars at the event too.
This is true too, Greg.
Yep.
That I do. It helps me get back to the airport.
I have a little fact. Anybody that's
No
getting
respect.
By the way, Greg, what time are you leaving for the airport after the awards show?
Okay, cut it out. I know what you guys are doing. Inside joke.
jokes.
Cut it out right now.
Well, I just want to make sure that that we share a cab or think back to the airport.
All right. And plus,
That's
I know for a fact that Greg joyrides in all the nice cars when they come in there. So.
Remember, I
Uses the
can't-
house car. The house car from the Four Seasons, right? That's what you're going to use.
Oh,
right?
the rolls. So
I have
anyhow,
the most famous story, real quick. I took the house car to Shakey's Pizza, so I took a $2 million car, so I'm famous. You know, they picked me up and took me to Shakey's Pizza on La Cienega. So I have the best house car story from the Four Seasons.
That's an abuse of power, I think, Jeff.
Oh,
Yeah,
nothing
that
but a
sounds like
tip will get you to
Beverly Hills
Shakey's. You should have seen all the baseball players, all the kids in there seeing this Rolls Royce pull up and I get out to have pizza. I love it.
That Justin Bieber? No.
No.
Oh, is it George Costanza? I just shows that I'm human too. You know, I come
Right.
down to there and have pizza.
I got it. Now, did you get the Carl Greasy with the pizza grease?
No, I know. I didn't take it to go. I made him come back and pick me up in an hour.
Oh, wow.
It was great.
Come pick me up. All right, one little last bit of movie. Well, actually, movie news. I've had this on the books for a while, but I didn't get a chance to get to it. So I want to cover it now. I still think it's exciting.
And the Oscar for most popular movie is The Meg.
Well, that'll never happen. If you remember a few weeks ago, we were talking about how they added this ridiculous category to the Oscars, and once they did it, it went viral and everybody had the same reaction that we did, and then miraculously they took it away. Jeff, this is definitely a good thing, right?
Right, and Chuck, if that had been an actual piece of the Oscar telecast, to announce that movie would have taken about 30 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, so you did it a
for
lot
sure.
faster. You did a lot faster. But yeah, what does that mean? Most popular movie? It drove me crazy. Does that mean like it made the most money? Do people vote on it like the People's Choice Awards? They really didn't think that through. You know,
Yeah.
so I don't know what the Academy was thinking. It just drew more embarrassment.
Fury, what's your take on this?
Well, I'm going to have to disagree with you guys. I think it was probably a step in the right direction for the Oscars. I just think they unrolled it and went about it poorly. You know, short of getting everyone to stay off the political spectrum, which would probably increase their ratings tremendously, but I doubt that'll ever happen. So right now, and probably especially for the last 6 or 7 years, the Oscars haven't reflected what American viewers have been watching at the theater. They reflect more the artsy, craftsy, you know, inside Hollywood type thing, and I think that's what detracts from the show. So adding a little category, or possibly even a few categories that average people can identify with, I think would have been a better move. I just think the way they rolled it out was rather poor.
Okay. I'll buy that. What about you, Greg?
Yeah, I agree, because they've got to do something to also attract younger audience. That's one of the complaints that they've had over the past few years, is that it's generally, you know, people like in their mid-30s and up, you know, who are watching. They want to get like, so they were trying to do that as well, you know, as far as getting them to watch. But like you said, it was kind of like they shot it out, but really didn't know where it was.
Yeah. So, all right.
I think the Academy, what they're doing is they're getting younger members there, because that's where the membership has to be reflected. So they're inviting a lot more younger people in the industry, and I think they have a real challenge getting kids to watch, millennials or that demographic, because they're not watching regular TV anyway. They're watching on their phone. They're watching on their iPad. They're watching when they want to. So they just need to think of something a little more creative. I mean, no one's even watching MTV anymore. I mean, the VMAs was the lowest rated show ever. And I just think diehard movie fans watch it. And I thought Shape of Water, I thought that was a popular film, but I guess it wasn't. I mean, it wasn't a big hit, but we'll see.
All right. Other movie news.
The rainbow.
The ruby red slippers have been found after 13 years. But here's the thing. Nobody knows what happened to them. They just got them back. They're keeping it all a secret. But I have a theory, and I have solid facts. Fact number 1. Jeff Howard and Judy Garland have the same shoe size. Fact number 2. Jeff has been heard say numerous times, there's no place like home. And fact number 3, Jeff cannot confirm his whereabouts in 2013. Now, Fury, you're new here. You don't know Jeff. Now that you've been presented with these facts, what do you think?
what can I say? Guilty as charged.
See, that's what I thought. Yeah, wait, where did he go? He's gone.
I'm trying to find Wizard of Oz on all my DVDs here so I can do a bit, but I can't find it. So.
Greg,
Out of the wood. Yeah.
I was shocked that he didn't pull out the another pair of the ruby red slippers, because he's got
a
everything.
pair there.
I know.
Got a pair there. I've seen him wearing them before.
Yeah.
I've been in Vegas.
Now, I hope you understand that this segment's about movie memorabilia, not cross-dressing critics. Okay, so we'll just make sure we have a little thing in there.
But this is pretty exciting because these are the these are the close-up copy of them. I mean, and supposedly they're in great shape for 13 years. Somebody probably had them hidden in their closet. I'm assuming.
I think when they were found, they had to have been passed around, sold, from one person to another. I'm sure the person who originally stole them, they didn't find them. You know what I mean? So I think over 13 years, they've changed hands a lot of times. But
really?
Now they're back. Oh, yeah, I think so. I don't think the original person who stole them, they would have had some sort of
How
lead
do
for
you
that.
keep something like that a secret, though? You can't pass that
There's
around.
an underground. You get on the internet.
Everybody, look at my ruby red.
Yeah, the dark web, trust me, there are people out there who buy this stuff, just like artwork and everything. Those are worth millions of dollars. So yeah, there's a buyer out there. And a lot of collectors are like, I have the ruby red slippers, and they just don't care if the world knows. They care that they know, and they have them. That's how all these art people work.
I personally think it was one person, and they've kept them all this time, and then somebody heard about it, and then that's how they...
Well, I enjoyed them, and I thought it would be great to let someone else enjoy them now. So I just kind of tipped off the 1-800 Crime Stoppers.
Well, thank you very much. All right, that's enough for the movie news. Let's get into the movie reviews part of this. And prior to about 30 minutes ago, we had none of this, what I'm about to present to you. It's a story and a half for another time, but we had the red carpet for A Simple Favor, and we sent Gino, our film critic who's not here tonight, to the red carpet to cover the event for us, and we did not get the footage until 30 minutes ago. So I just
Milwaukee!
I just want to show you about 45 seconds of the trailer, and there's a reason for that, and then we're gonna go right into Gino's interviews.
I'm Gino Salomon for Movie Mayhem Live, talking with the cast of A Simple Favor. A lot of fun stuff. I can't tell you much about this movie, but the question is, can they? I keep asking everyone, how do you talk about this movie without talking about this movie?
That's the thing. You can't sort of give away too much, can you? There's so many twists and turns and so much suspense. I try to keep my mouth shut. That's how I approach it.
Okay, we're right back there.
Great.
Thank you for caring about that detail. So, I keep asking everyone, how do you tell everyone about this movie without telling them?
Yeah, it's hard to promote the movie because there's so many twists and turns that you can't really get into the plot beyond the first 20 minutes without giving something away. So, I think the fact that it's really fun and it's really light, in addition to being kind of a twisty mystery, is the real selling point.
Oh gosh, I guess it's just you see Anna and Blake meet, and they seem to be polar opposites, and they somehow forge this bizarre friendship. And at first you think they're just kind of using each other, and then you find out that they both have these really dark secrets, both of them, and nothing is predictable in it. It's quite scary, actually. I found it kind of scary. It's also funny.
Do you love a movie with style? You are a woman of style. This film is one of those.
I hope it is.
Yeah, okay, you haven't seen it yet.
I'm staying in New York late tonight to see Blake, so it better be good.
What can we safely say about this movie to people who haven't seen it?
That you should go see it in theaters on September 14th, and then you can find out what you can't safely say, right? Because there's so many spoilers. But this movie is just so thrilling, but it's also really fun. It's sort of like a dark, twisted, thrilling, comedic ride.
Nice to meet you, Ian. What do you think of this movie star thing?
It's awesome. I've always wanted to do this since I was a little kid. It's just been my dream, and it's all happening right here.
What was it like working with Paul?
Paul is this amazing director. I know I haven't seen anything by him, but he's so fun to work with. And I love his suits. His suits are really fancy.
I have to do business.
All right, come on.
Yeah.
Oh, this is going to be one of those gotcha interviews?
Never.
Nah.
How do you sell this movie? How do you tell people what it's about without telling them what it's about?
I know, that's the hard thing. with Lionsgate's been so great, because when we were trying to market it, it's like, how do we not give everything away? And they did a masterful job of just giving you hints and clues, but it's not what you think it is. The story will take you in a lot of different directions. But I just say it's really a story about two unlikely friends who create a bond, and then one disappears and the other one's got to figure out what happened. And then there's a lot of things that you're not going to be ready for that you're going to see.
Wow. He's wanted to be an actor ever since he was a kid. Jeff, I don't want to make you jealous, but I know for a fact that Gino's having dinner right now with Paul.
No.
Yeah.
No way.
Oh,
'Cause
yeah.
I've met Paul so many times at the Critics' Choice Awards. He is so cool. He answers his Twitters. He does everything.
Yeah.
He is just the greatest. And I don't know where it is, but I'm a huge Freaks and Geeks fan, and I always talk to him about that because that is like me in high school. I was Sam.
All right,
You know,
well, here's
so
the skinny.
He's always the greatest.
On a simple favor, not screened in Pittsburgh at all, so Fury and I did not see it. I heard from a little bird that you saw the movie, Jeff. Did you see it, Greg?
No, I didn't, because we didn't have one
So,
here.
Jeff, what's the deal with this movie?
I hold all the cards, don't I?
Yes, you do.
This Paul Feig, you know, if you've seen Bridesmaids, you know how dark his humor can get. But this movie, it's, you know, Anna Kendrick and Blake Lively's characters could not be more opposite. And Anna Kendrick is this ultimate mommy, and she has a mommy blog. She gives out mommy tips and baking tips, and then she meets Blake Lively, who is the complete opposite of her. She's a marketing director for a major fashion magazine. She wears suits. She drinks martinis. She's just all cold business, and she starts taking advantage of Anna Kendrick. Meaning, pick up my son. All of a sudden, she disappears for days at a time. Yeah, she starts hanging out at her house, starts hitting on the husband and everything like that. So Anna Kendrick is just like totally at a loss because she wants to be the nicest person and love everybody, but she's never met anyone like Blake Lively's character. And then ultimately, she goes missing. So now the second half of the movie, she starts playing Sherlock Holmes. It's like a French thriller. And what's so funny is the one-liners in this movie. It's so dark and it's so mean-spirited at times, but then the movie, the second half, really turns into this mystery. Like, what happened to her? Is she dead? Is she faked her death? Is she, like, on the run? We don't know. There's so many things going through your mind trying to figure it out. And every time there's a twist, another twist comes, and another twist comes, and it doesn't end up being corny. It ends up being one of my favorite films I've seen this year. It's fantastic. Yeah.
I tell you what, it flew under the radar for me. Since they didn't screen it, I just tossed it aside like it wasn't a good movie. Then I saw these interviews. I saw a lot more than those interviews that you saw, and then I, hearing you talk about this, I'm like, I'm gonna have to go check out this movie.
I'm telling you, the dialogue is so, I don't want to use the word snappy, but it's just, you know, it's really, really excellent writing. It's like one of those movies where everything comes together. And the chemistry between Anna Kendrick and Blake Lively is, it just burns up the screen. They even have a kiss that just, you hear the men moaning and the women moaning in the audience, because I was like, wow. So this movie really crosses a lot of lines that I wasn't expecting Anna Kendrick and Blake Lively to do. But Paul Feig is a master. I mean, I had a great time with this. I can't wait to see it again because there's so much that went by in this, that, you know, little clues and everything. But I think this is going to be one of those word-of-mouth movies that everyone's going to go see. So, yeah, fantastic.
Okay, well, based upon your recommendation, I'm definitely going to check out that. Another movie that I couldn't see was The Nun. Now, Fury, they did a double screening on this or something, or did we? I don't.
No, they didn't do any screening on.
Okay, that's what it was. I knew it was, which is, one, it's a scary movie, which I don't like, and two, if they're not going to screen it, you know, what am I supposed to do? But let's take a look at The Nun. All right, so Jeff, as the only person who, again, has seen this movie, was it really a classic Gothic horror movie?
I'll plug my A-list membership with AMC because I can see 12 movies a month for $20, and I used it to go see The Nun, you know? I'm a big fan of The Conjuring. I mean, yeah, Movie Pass. No, that's dead. I'm real quick. This doesn't take much to review this film. It's got a built-in audience of the characters from The Conjuring 2. The movie's got mood. It's got a great setting. It's got incredible art direction and the abbey they found, and also it just really is a creepy setting. But there's no story. You know, we're wandering around this abbey for 2 hours, and just really doesn't go anywhere. So while you have the nun popping out every 15 minutes and there's a lot of jump scares, you know, it's really a kind of a rudimentary kind of thriller. It's more of a ghost story than it is a horror film. So I was just bored for a lot of the film, but I can see how the movie made so much money because, you know, if you're under 18, this is a great date movie, and, you know, clutching onto your date and jumping out of your seat, and it's not R, you know, so it's got a lot of, but just a lot of times I'm like, well, okay, you know, there's the nun again, you know, what's going on here? And it seems like, you know, the priest and the nun that was sent there to investigate, they didn't seem to be fazed by a lot what was going on. After the fourth or fifth kind of, you know, supernatural event, I'd be like, we should get out of here. One cool thing I loved is they were in the cemetery, and, you know, during the Dark Ages they buried a lot of people that were still alive, and they had a little bell, so they sit there and ring the bell. So they have a whole scene with that where the guy gets buried and ringing the bell, and it was really creepy. So it's got a lot of good creep factor. It's just not much story.
Now, Greg, you didn't see this, right?
No, but did go to Catholic school, so kind of know the story.
You don't need. That's all you need to know. So, based upon your recommendation, even if it was the greatest movie of all time, I still wouldn't go see it. All right. Now, just prior to the broadcast, I was talking to the Vegas film critic. Sorry, I just love doing that graphic. And I told him that we had a soundbite from Unbroken, Path to Redemption, and he's like, "What's that?" So, if you remember the Angelina Jolie movie that she directed, this is the sequel that has nothing to do with her. But let's take a little bit behind the scenes.
Somebody's Unbroken again, right?
Yeah. Now, does that answer all your questions, Jeff, about the movie?
Yeah, so it's a faith-based film because we just had one a few weeks ago called Beautifully Broken that I did interviews for it, and it was doing very well. So yeah, when it has Billy Graham in it, because my family was very involved with the Billy Graham ministries back in the 70s. My father was, you know. Okay. So no, but I'd never heard of that. So it's a faith-based film, so it usually probably has a small rollout and it goes out wider. Yeah, that does make a lot of money. They're very popular.
They do. And now Gino got to sit down with the cast, and I went through the interview. I'd love to play the whole thing, but we got so much. But there was one little funny soundbite from his interview that I had to share with you.
What's the first meeting like? And what did you think the first time you met him?
I thought he was Sam Hunt, the country singer.
That's true. I take it. No, I'll take
People ask me, but that's honestly what I thought.
Yeah.
But no, we met.
You ever seen Disappointment? Yeah, I did. I know exactly.
What was the look like?
She was just like,
oh.
Hey, you know, and then she like turned into marriage. And I didn't know, like, I didn't make that connection until later. So as I walked in the room, I was like, someone else is coming in instead of me?
And let's be honest, she's an actress. She should have acted less disappointed.
But that's how I knew it was real, or that she was a really good actor. Either way, I'm fine with it.
You guys are delightful. I wish you nothing but good things.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hey, man.
Little case of mistaken identity. I understand because I get mistaken for like Tom Cruise all the time or Vin Diesel. It happens. I mean,
Mr. Clean.
Mr. Clean, yeah, that does happen.
There you go.
All right.
Boy,
hey, look, I want you to know that you guys made me so self-conscious because I had hair that I went and put my glasses on, so we at least have that in common now.
So people can tell us apart, right?
There you go.
By the way, true story, I was mistaken for Vin Diesel, but that's a story for another time. All right, so now we're getting into the segment where I can actually contribute, and so can Fury. It's time to go behind the scenes. Now, you've heard about White Boy Rick, correct, Jeff?
Oh,
Correct?
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you've heard about it. It's based on a true story. So let's go and find out a little bit more about this movie. Do we need to run that again? Because that makes no sense. I have no idea.
When the legend becomes fact, print the legend. That's what he's trying to
all right. Now, Greg, did you see this?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. I'm going to start off because obviously we're going to do a little review here. Let's get to White Boy Rick. And quite frankly, as far as spoilers go, it's a true story, and if people know what it is, it really gonna matter. But we go on and we see this story, how this kid and his dad sold guns, and then he starts selling drugs because the FBI made him do it, blah, 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 and then he becomes one of the biggest drug dealers of all time for his age and all this stuff, and they're portraying White Boy Rick as a victim. And I got to tell you, I could care less. I mean, spoiler alert, at the end of this movie, we hear the actual audio, no video, of White Boy Rick talking about, because, he went to jail and how there's nobody here thinks I deserve this. And I just wanted to stand up and scream, "You were a drug dealer. You sold guns that killed people. What? Stop your whining. And the other thing is I didn't care. This movie was long. This movie was boring. I didn't care about. They didn't make this like a case of Walter White, where we're going to sympathize with the character and root for him, because there's nobody redeeming except for the legendary Bruce Dern, who every time he was on screen, I was sitting next to Fury, and I'm like, it's freaking Bruce Dern. So I happen to know that Fury, you kind of share my views, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. This was, without question, one of the worst movies I've seen so far this year. And I'll tell you what it reminds me of. It reminds me of, there are a plethora of television shows that are on that highlight really stupid people and try to make media stars out of them. And I'm not just talking about the Kardashians here. I'm talking about, really dumb people who start their segments off with, here, hold my beer and watch this. Okay? And this movie did that. It took people who were really dumb and it just kind of celebrated them. And like you said, the victimization at the end for this guy who didn't deserve it. There's nobody worth liking in this movie. And, maybe if they had stuck more to the truth, they could have had a better story, maybe going off and fictionalizing. You could see the agenda behind it. I mean, this script read almost like a manifesto from Black Lives Matter. It was terrible all the way around.
You mean no redeeming characters other than Bruce Dern?
Well, of course, Bruce Dern was there, and he was marvelous. And don't forget Piper Laurie. She was there too. And she was marvelous, but they were cameo roles. They came in and out, and their total screen time was what, 2 minutes, 90 seconds.
Yeah. All right,
like
Greg, what are your thoughts on this movie?
Well, of course, by growing up here in Detroit, I had heard the story and knew a little bit about it from watching on the news. But that was 30 some years ago. The interesting thing actually here in Detroit is all the news stations have been running stories about it all week, bringing up archived footage. So it was interesting where, like the part with the mayor's brother-in-law, he actually was part of, the whole thing that was going on, as well as the mayor's niece, did wind up, hanging out with Rick Wershe when her husband was in prison. So it's kind of like great to see, like some of those facts. But it's talking about this the other day with somebody, and that happens every once in a while in a movie where there's a person who's so bad and you can tell that they want you to really, sympathize with the person. It's almost like thinking back, to the Jimmy Cag Public Enemy, where at the end his character Tom Powers, is wrapped up dead and falls through the front door of the house at the end of the movie, where you want to feel a little bad for him, but it's kind of like, no, he killed all these people. Sorry for the spoiler on Public Enemy, 70 years later, but just kind of like that same thing right there. But like you said, it was a little bit long, definitely. And one thing they should always have, especially if it's going to be a movie dealing with a particular area, they should always have an area expert on, because there was one big screw up that I know Detroiters are really, really, really going to get
What
upset
is
about.
that?
And that is remember when the guy came to the house and he rang the doorbell and he says, "Oh, hey, Jim." And he asked him if he wanted something to drink.
Right.
And then, boom. He asked him, "You want a soda?" No one in Detroit calls pop soda.
Okay.
I mean, it's like
pop.
a law.
Pop.
It's pop. Pop. Period. I mean, you say soda to somebody, they'll bring you soda water.
It's a West Coast. It's a West Coast thing. We say soda.
Yep.
You say pop.
Yep.
Yeah. So,
I think even in the East Coast, in New York, they even say soda. Yeah. So.
All right.
But yeah,
So
don't do that.
I'm forgetting the actual grading. So, Greg, let's go backwards. Give me a letter grade for White Boy Rick.
I like a C, C minus.
C minus. Is that what you're going to be? All right. And Fury, C minus.
It's an F.
It's an
Oh,
F.
F.
You're giving it an F. Wow. I don't think we've had an
oh.
F on here, have
No,
we?
that
I
mean,
know.
it's unwatchable.
I'll
Not
tell you
even
another
Filipino.
thing that got me
Harsh.
upset about this thing. Do you
That's
remember
harsh.
back in the old days when they used to shoot on film?
Right.
Film had an expiration date, and it said use this by this date, or else the film came out real murky. That's the way this thing was shot. I mean, I don't know if it was the cinematographer who did this. That's Tad Radcliffe. I don't know if he did this purposely by using a fogging effect on the camera. But I know the piece was supposed to take place. It's a period piece, takes place in the mid to late 80s. But this thing was just dark. and grainy, and it looked bad. And Chris Wyatt did a bad job editing this thing. There were segments that didn't mesh well at all. Sorry, it was a waste of time. If any of my students had turned this in, I'd have failed them.
Yeah. Well,
do you have a foghorn going behind the F there, Chuck?
I don't know what that is. I keep looking. I'm like, what is that? I have this, but I don't know what the foghorn is. It must be some interference.
I thought it was me at first. I'm like, wow, okay.
I'm actually going to go. I didn't really think about it, but I did not like this movie. I'm going to go D-. That's right above you, because you know why? Because Bruce Dern brings it up. Bruce Dern.
I got to see this movie now. I'm going to see it, but I think it looks great. I mean, I've seen the trailer. I just think it looks fascinating. It can't be an F. Matthew McConaughey is not in an F film.
Jeff, it is so boring. It is so long. You don't care about it. And it's like, we've seen all these characters before. Then they do this big deal about rescuing the junkie daughter, and they pull her out of the crack house or whatever, and yet the dad and the son are freaking drug dealers that are just causing everybody, you know what I mean? It just,
You want boring? Watch nuns walking around in the dark for 2 hours.
By the way, what do you give the nun?
An hour and 48 minutes long, but I tell you, sitting through that hour and 48 minutes, I thought I lost 3 weeks of my life.
I'm telling you, I did not like the movie at all. I could care less about anybody in that movie, with the exception of the legendary Bruce Dern.
You're harsh. Yeah, he
very
was great
hard.
in Nebraska. He was great in Nebraska. I love him in that.
And I want you to know that every time Bruce Dern came on screen, you know, this is why it's bad to sit next to Chuck. He elbowed me. You know, I got this star elbow into the, hey, that's Bruce Dern. I said, yeah, I know, we know.
No, I said it's freaking Bruce Dern.
I'm just amazed. I was trying to clean it up.
I'm just amazed. I had the honor of interviewing him a couple times, and it just, I was like all giggly and all that stuff. So anyhow, all right. So we're coming up on our.
And Piper Laurie's from Detroit, so.
Okay.
I met him at an autograph show a few years ago. I have a autograph picture on here from he was in. He was in not True Grit. What was he in? I mean, he's been in so many great westerns, including Hateful Eight. So he's just a great actor. He really is.
Yeah, can't say enough about it. Unfortunately, he picked the wrong movie, as far as I'm concerned. All right, so our final movie is The Predator. Well, there's definitely a lot of humor in this movie. Right. Say what you will about the Predator movie. I'm a huge fan of the franchise, and for most of this movie, for me at least, I enjoyed it. I was having a great time. The jokes were there. It's completely ridiculous. But I loved how they took some of the elements, like why does the predator always take the spine of his victim, and that comes into play. And the fact that they kept coming back to the recurring joke, it reminded me of The Simpsons, well, it's really not a predator then, you know. And I just thought that was funny. Now, Jeff, you saw this, right?
Yeah, I did, and I think what I didn't like what Shane Black did. First of all, I'm gonna tell you what I didn't like about it is that it changed the whole concept of what the predator is. He hunts people. You know, they hunt for sport. And in this predator, it didn't happen with that. One of the predators went rogue, came to Earth with a bunch of stolen merchandise. They send the new super DNA 11-foot predator after him, and so it just becomes like a chase movie the whole time. You know, so I wanted, and then also we have 5 more, military guys. It was the exact same setup as the original film. You know, so we were all over the place. You know, I love.
No, the original film was 2 separate movies. The first movie was a war movie, and then the second movie was a Predator movie, which I really liked about that. But those guys it reminded me of like the A-Team, and you knew, like, they weren't taking themselves seriously. Let's jump over to Fury and get his thoughts on this movie.
Well, the original Predator was a Fist of Fury Award winner, meaning, for the uninitiated, that it exemplified excellence in film entertainment. All of the movies that followed it, Predator 2, the AVPs, Predators with Adrian Brody, none of them could match that first one. And I got to tell you, for the first hour of this movie, I thought Shane Black had captured the gold. I really did.
It was going well for the
first hour and 10 minutes of this movie were fantastic. And then, and you guys might not agree with this, but I got to tell you, I think it became Disneyized. I think that's exactly what happened to the movie. Now, as you know, Alien, Predator, all those iconic characters from Fox Studios are now owned by Disney, and they've already succeeded in destroying Star Wars and Marvel Comics, and I think these guys are next. Chuck, you might want to put up your spoiler alert here on this one, because once you see this movie at the end, you can see where this is going. You're going to have a boy, you're going to have a dog, you're going to have a dad that's kind of a superhero who's going to save his family, plus save the world, and geez, isn't that the Disney template? So either Shane Black copped out at the end of this thing and had somebody from Disney write it, or he wanted another job for a Predator movie and he just gave in to this. You can see this, and I'll bet you whatever you want to bet right now that if they do another one, that little kid gets into that damn suit.
I'm willing to bet some Jeff Howard memorabilia that he doesn't. I think, the way they made it pretty clear.
Totally wasted Jacob Tremblay, one of the most talented child actors that we have.
Well,
he did nothing but make faces and pound his head. I understand he was autistic or he was a savant, but I mean, not to give him a major part of the movie. I don't understand why Shane Black didn't give him a chance to be a major part of the film.
You know what ticks me off, and Greg, I'll get to you in a second. You did see this, right?
Yeah. I'm seeing it in 45 minutes.
Oh, he's seeing it in 45 minutes.
No, go ahead and say everything you want to say.
I'm tired of movies that make autistic people into superheroes. Like they have this ability to do this, and they can do math to the 10th power, and they can do. I'm like, okay, maybe a small percentage of people can do that, but I just think the movies are portraying people like that too well. However, I disagree with Fury. I had a great time. I love this movie. I just love the ridiculousness of Olivia Munn's character. And
how about Jake Busey? His dad was in the second Predator, Gary Busey, so he has a little cameo in this.
Yeah.
What is Sterling Brown doing in this movie? What is he doing except chewing gum and being totally annoying? And not to give it a spoiler away, but did he die? I don't remember him getting killed. He just vanished.
He vanished.
Well, just vanished.
So he can come back in the sequel.
Yeah, as Fury pointed out to me at the end of this movie, Greg, please take note when somebody drops something in the forest 5 miles away from the action, miraculously they're able to travel 5 miles in 30 seconds or whatever, because I don't want to give away anything.
The invisible ball. How did they find that in the dark and use it? How do they go back and find that?
Not only did they find it, but she was able to teleport all the way over to how far away the action actually was happening to come in.
But the chemistry and the 5 military guys, from Michael Keegan, Michael, Thomas Jane, and all of them, they are really funny. They have great chemistry in it. It's almost like watching a not a Dirty Dozen. What's the other? Kelly's Heroes kind of hunting a predator.
I'm sorry, I had a great time at this. I was laughing the whole time. It was really ridiculous. It was fun, and I'm gonna honestly, I'm going B- because I had a good time.
Don't forget that Fred Decker wrote the screenplay with Shane Black, who did Monster Squad, and also he wrote the greatest 80s horror film called Night of the Creeps. So it definitely had a good vibe to it. It's not the best, but it's very watchable, and it's got a lot of action in it. So it's going to do really well. It's not the best series.
What are you going to give it, Jeff?
I'm going to give it a C.
C? All right, and now here we go with half of the movie. What are you going to give it, Fury?
I'm same with Jeff. The first hour and 10 minutes, I'd give it an A, but then that final 50 minutes brought it down to a C.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I still think it's worth seeing. Maybe a matinee then, if you cut that. Greg, unfortunately, is whether whose side he takes here. He's seeing it in just a few minutes. But Greg,
I'm afraid we might have ruined it for you, Greg. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's fine.
Hey.
Yeah. I told Chuck just in case, I get or whatever.
Greg,
I know that's fine.
Greg, you won't remember any of this because it's an action film. There's so much detail in this movie. Whatever we say, you're not going to remember anyway.
And it doesn't take place in Detroit, so you won't be angry at anything
Detroit.
Although I think the Predator,
my fellow Detroiter.
I think the Predator does reveal he came to Earth looking for a soda, so that might tick you off a little bit.
So He's not
Real
coming to our
quick,
town.
the new super DNA, Predator, the thing. I know they said he had some sort of bio suit or something because they kept shooting at this thing and it wasn't being killed. It didn't have the force field on. It didn't have body armor. I'm like, they're shooting thousands of rounds of these high-tech weapons and he's fine.
Yeah. Now, but how cool was the force field on the ship? That was pretty cool.
Yeah, but we saw that in Alien. We saw that in the last Alien where they were on top of the ship. So I was like, oh, they stole that from Ridley Scott. Just a year or two ago.
Since you guys brought that up, that ending where they're riding on the Predator ship, did anybody think that was a harken back to Dan O'Bannon's Dark Star finale?
See, I'm not familiar with that at all.
No, it was Alien. It was the last Alien film because remember they were trying to take off and she was had the little hook on there. So I know I thought that, but they better think fast before this thing goes into orbit, right? I don't know what they were thinking. Let's just jump on this thing and go,
All right, so it's that time of the day. Jeff, give yourself a plug.
You can find all my movie reviews and interviews at Vegas Film Critic. Come on, Chuck, where's the graphic?
Well, I had to reset the board. Hold on, give me a second. There we go.
Okay.
And
VegasFilmCritic.com. You can find all my reviews and interviews. Also, my portal, so all my social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. It is all there. And the best part, it is Greg Russell free.
Oh, I did not know this. I'm definitely going to check that out after the show.
Oh,
Fury,
my God.
give yourself a plug.
Sure, you can find me in the Pittsburgh market on Verizon, Fios, Atlantic Broadband, and Comcast. I'm also now throwing up whole episodes of my show on Vimeo. And if you go onto the Facebook page, just go onto the search bar and punch in Outtakes with Fiore. I'll have links to all my different spots and places where you could see me. And I'm also the film reviewer for a local Pittsburgh entertainment magazine called Nightwire. So I'm literally all over the place. And most of those outlets are interactive, so feel free to contact me and we can start up some dialogues.
And Greg Russell, when you're not enjoying a pop, give yourself a plug.
Well, I enjoy my pop, my Faygo pop, and Better Made potato chips when I'm on Channel 20, Channel 38, and Channel 33 here in Detroit with Movie Show Plus. And then every Friday on WDIV, the NBC station here in Detroit, on the show Live in the D. That's where I give my reviews and show my interviews with the celebrities, as well as the Greg Russell Movie Show podcast, which is on New Radio Media.
What are you doing plugging a podcast when you're on this podcast?
I plugged this one on mine.
All right, and of course, I am the legend in my own mind, Chuck the Movie Guy. You can find my stuff at themovieguy.com. And for the first time, we're rolling credits. Thanks, everyone, for being on the show. We'll see you all next week, and thanks for being here.